Hey guys, we got this Ram back in here today to fix up this plugged AC core. And I just thought I would just show you some details and things and stuff that you gotta disconnect if you wanted to do this. We have a couple videos on what happens basically when the truck runs for a long time in a dirty environment and there's no cabin filter. All the dirty air and dirt and particles and everything come in through the fresh air inlet of the HVAC housing, which I'm gonna show you right here. So this is bolted to the firewall. This is your HVAC housing, and it's responsible for pulling in air, heating it up or cooling it down, and then directing it to wherever you choose. Face, feet, both, defrost, whatever, right? So here's your fresh air inlet. This side that I'm at here faces towards the firewall, and then this is faced towards the driver and passenger. But yeah, we got fresh air that comes in. It's actually nice that they put a screen here. Hopefully keep some rodents out, but you can see this white door that I'm moving in here. That is your fresh air or recirc door, and that will open or close to either allow fresh air to come in or to recirculate the air in the truck. Then the blower motor that's mounted underneath of here will blow the air into the HVAC assembly. You can see here, this is our air conditioning core, and it's located in this section here. It stands vertically, and the air will pass through that, at which point there is a door inside of here that will either direct air up and over the heater core or down and through the heater core to then either heat it or just leave it cooled. And then once it gets to this point, there is more actuators and stuff over here that will choose which way the air is going to go. If it's going to go straight up to defrost, or if it's going to go down towards feet, or there's also a mix option that does feet and face, or feet and defrost, I believe. There's a couple different options, right? So the first thing that the air is going to run into is the AC core. So the cabin filter that normally goes in here isn't really offered on many of these models from the factory, and it's something that needs to be purchased in addition, right? So you buy the cabin filter and you buy the door to put on in front of it. And then what you would do is there was actually a plastic outline of where the door goes, and that you would cut it out and put the filter in and then snap the door in place. And that's gonna filter all the air that's coming in from the outside. Very important, because what happens is, in the other videos that we've made, is all that dirt just goes right into the core and it just plugs it up. So it's just a small radiator. That's all these cores are. The air conditioning one and the heater core, they're both the same type of unit. A bunch of small fins, and then you've got other small fins that are in between in a zigzag that just basically pull the heat out of either the liquid or the refrigerant and transfers that heat into the air. So, or pulls the heat or whatever out of the air. Yeah, there's a lot of heat transfer going on there. And yeah, this unit here has to come out in order to clean that or replace it, because
do you have the old one, or is that the old one in there?
We actually just cleaned the old one and put it back in. The new one was about $1,200 from the dealer, but it was on back order, so you couldn't get it, which tells you that they sell a lot of these things, and there's a reason they sell a lot of them, and that's because they don't come with a cabin filter. So yeah, not only do they get plugged up and destroyed, they also see moisture and whatever and then develop a leak, and then you've got an air conditioning leak and your refrigerant all leaks out. So that also would prompt a replacement. Now, yeah, as far as replacing this, you can see all these tabs. There's little tabs that lift up, lock tabs, and also Phillips screws to separate this unit. So basically, if you were to get this out, you just unplug this fresh air inlet actuator, and then this top unit comes off. There is 4 clips, 2 at the front, which are broken off on this one, and then 2 at the back here. Yeah, you just gently pry those forwards. This top piece comes off, and then you would have your blower motor housing, which is basically from this point backwards, this whole piece. And it also consists of the drain as well. Any moisture that collects on here condensation will form, and it actually runs down inside the case and out of this drain, which comes out of your firewall. So this whole thing would come off. Tip, by the way, if you have a leaky AC core and the green fluorescent dye inside of it also leaks out, it's going to leak out of this thing. So if you have an air conditioning leak and you check with UV light and see dye coming out of this hole, that tells you that this has a leak. So that's how you would check those for AC leaks. But yeah, once you get that apart, then you can just pretty much take this thing out. So let's go check inside the truck and I'll show you some things. All right, we're kind of working backwards here, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to come out of the dash, and it would be a really long video in order to show you everything that needs to come off to get the dash out. But with the HVAC core, or with the HVAC housing, sorry, rather, you can see there's one bolt that goes into the floor, and then we've got these two studs with green washers on them. So there's two 10mm nuts that go through there. And then down here, there's two small holes side by side here. And there's studs on the HVAC housing that go past through the firewall with nuts on the other side. They're probably the most difficult to get out. You've also got your air conditioning system to discharge and disconnect. And you've got your two heater core lines that you need to unplug that have coolant in them. Let me just grab a light and show you. This bracket is in here kind of goofy right now, but your engine computer is on this. And it's gonna be sitting in this corner, and it's gonna block you from getting to the very bottom stud that you can see the hole is right there. So what you're gonna have to do is move that bracket out of the way. I couldn't get the computer out because there was so much stuff in the way, but in order to at least unbolt the bracket and sort of tip it down like that, I had to remove the intake duct and also the air box itself with the filter. And it's pretty simple. You just take the cover off. There's a band clamp that takes a flathead or a 8mm socket, loosen it off, pull it off, take the filter box out. There's no bolts for that. It's just rubber grommets and dowels. And then, yeah, two 10mm nuts secure this bracket to the firewall, and there's a part of the bracket that actually just slips into like a rubber grommet in this side of the inner portion of the body near the fender liner or the fender wall. Disconnect the electrical connectors, and yeah, the hoses and stuff, just basic clamps, two of them. They're kind of a pain to get to, but they're not too bad. You can do them with adjustable needle nose pliers. I found were the best option. Your air conditioning lines, you're gonna have a 13mm nut that goes onto a stud. So you undo that, and then the line just sort of hangs out there. You don't really move it out of the way because you're pulling that whole HVAC box backwards and the stud goes with it. So all you gotta do is take the nut off, and then once you get your other two mounting nuts off, you can just take your HVAC box right out. But you can see all these components here. This is all interior stuff. Blower motor, radio, side panels on the side of the dash. The whole center section comes out along with the pieces underneath of it. This is the inner portion of the glove box. And then steering column, A-pillar covers, and the panel that goes underneath of the steering column as well. So we'll go over to the driver's side of the truck here, and we'll just start to run down on a few things. A few things that you're gonna have to take off to get the dash out. I would have loved to make a full in-depth video, but this is like a full day job, and I'm at work doing this stuff. So hopefully you can find some information out of this video as we're going here. But now, when the dash is in there and your steering wheel is all sitting where it's supposed to be, you're gonna have to drop the steering column down in order to get the dash to come out over it. And it's not too bad, but there is some wiring that you're gonna have to disconnect that runs up the steering column. And you'll take the two half shell pieces off of the steering wheel column where your turn signal switches are. There is 3 T20 Torx screws in the bottom of it separate the shell, unplug all of the connectors, and then you can drop the wiring harness down. There's 4 13mm nuts that secure the column to this big bracket right here. And there's also a 15mm screw way far in the back and 2 10mm screws that go up through here that bolt to the actual dash rail. You can see there's a big metal structure here that the actual dash pad is bolted to. And we leave that whole steel frame structure attached to the dash and just move everything out of the road. The only thing that sucks about this is that this huge wiring harness that goes from this side all the way to the other side, it's weaved through the whole thing. You can see right there where the transmission tunnel is. That wiring harness goes down under the carpet and then it runs all the way back underneath of the center seat or center console. So it really sucks they didn't put a connector there, because that's the only thing that's stopping you from taking this whole dash piece out as an assembly, is that wiring harness. So I didn't feel like taking all the seats out and ripping the carpet out in order to follow that harness backwards. And obviously, as you can see, there's way too many anchor points and connectors and all that stuff that's all snaked in here under all this HVAC ductwork and everything else. It would just consume too much time. So the most reasonable thing to do basically is, once you get all your fasteners undone, you get all your connectors undone, you get your parking brake lever undone, you get the steering column dropped, more wiring harnesses on the other side, the 6 in total, there's 3 on each side, 13mm bolts. Once you get those all out, you basically just flop the whole dash over onto the driver's and passenger seat, and then you leave that wiring harness sort of stretched up as far as you can without reefing on it. And then I just use a bungee cord to just sort of keep the dash up there. And that buys you enough room to get in to take the HVAC box out. So there's a lot to this job. It's not too difficult, but it's very time consuming and there's a lot of little pieces.
What's the hour estimate on it, like on pro-demand type stuff?
I guess we should go look that up and see.
Yeah,
but
be cool to know.
it's probably, I would say, like in around the 8-hour range, and that's for like a professional to do it.
And that's to reinstall a new one, right?
That's to just like remove and install a new one. And it doesn't account for other little accessories, like if they got aftermarket stuff wired in that needs to be disconnected or whatever. And also, yeah, I spent a bunch of time cleaning because this thing was a farm truck. You can see all this stuff here. The person that owns this truck does corn and other stuff, and he was complaining about a lot of allergies in the truck. And as you can see, not only allergies, but no air conditioning then, and poor airflow coming out of the vents, which was that plugged heater core, but it's not filtering any of the air coming into the truck. And back here you can see I've cleaned that side roughly with a rag. But yeah, if you look down there, that's what the firewall did look like. It's just dust everywhere. And as soon as you would turn the fan on, there would just be dust, like a dust storm inside the truck. It was horrific, but we're getting that fixed. So there are also 2, I forgot to mention, there's 2 hidden 10mm bolts up by the windshield on the dash. There's just 2 plastic covers. You just sneak a little screwdriver underneath and pop them up. And then you get in there with the 10mm socket and buzz those out. So 2 of those. Here is the 3 anchor points for the driver's side, here, here, and here. And then over on the passenger side, it's 2 like this, but then the other one goes in this way instead of like this. So you may also need to unplug the brake switch as well. And yeah, just pay attention to where your steering column sits too. That's another very important thing, because the steering wheel and the clock spring, they all have to stay in the same orientation. If you were to spin that steering column around a bunch of times, it's going to unwind the clock spring. And if you break that, your airbag light comes on and horn probably doesn't work and some other things. So make sure that you keep that from spinning. I know where it sits and I know that it's gonna be fine, but for those of you at home that are getting in there, moving stuff around, just watch out for that. You're also gonna need to, like I say, discharge the air conditioning system in order to pull those lines apart. And that this truck runs 1234YF, which is the newer style refrigerant, unfortunately, compared to the older style, which is R134A. So pretty much all vehicles after 2020 run this new 1234YF, but Dodge, unfortunately, started in about 2015. So the stuff is more expensive to replace if it leaks out. I think it's about $100 a pound. So, and this system runs about 1.12 pounds in total for refrigerant. Plus you've got an evacuate and recharge cost fee of approximately 120. Some places are more than that, but I think that's pretty much all I have to show for this video, but hopefully it gives you a little insight on what you're going to need to do if you want to try to tackle this yourself. Like I say, it's not impossible, but there's a lot of little bolts, so organize everything, take your time, make sure you unplug all of the connectors that you need because you don't want to break anything. And it's probably a two-person job to move that dash out of the way. But if you have any questions, throw them in the comments, give the video a thumbs up if it helped. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, follow, comment. We'll see you in the next one. All right, so here's some times for you to give you a little perspective. So a heater core replacement, which is gonna run you about the same time as the AC core, you're going into the same thing. With the center console in the truck, you're 6.9 hours. Now this is a estimate, sort of an average taken from a person doing the job a couple times. And without the center console in the truck like this one has, we just have a center seat, 6.4 hours, just because there's less stuff to take out. Now, that does not include the evacuate and recharge of the air conditioning system, but keep in mind that it does include filling the cooling system. I did pinch off the two heater core lines so that it didn't puke all the coolant out. All we did was lose some coolant out of the heater core. So once I put everything back together, stick the hoses on, we're only going to be down a little bit of coolant, but hopefully it doesn't airlock inside the heater core. Not going to worry about that. But yeah, like I say, it's sort of an average taken from the job being done a few times to get that number. But realistically, you're going to probably be 8+ hours. And if this is a DIYer at home watching this, looking to do this yourself, I would say like be prepared to spend 2 days on it. Just give yourself enough time because it is a big job.